First, I want to congratulate Andrew Van Ginkel for Player of the Week. Well-deserved. He's done a great job all year. Just talking about the game last week, tough environment. I thought just the environment was electric there. Tough physical game, gritty game. Had a kind of postseason feel to it from a competitiveness standpoint. Guys played hard. It was back and forth, just like we thought it would be. And I think the guys really kind of dug deep and found a way to win the game under some I would say in some pressure situations. That was good to see. Also got another great celebration. Wasn't expecting that. Hadn't really seen Camp Rock before, so it was the first time. Looks like a good dance. That was good. And now we're preparing for a very, very, very good Green Bay Packers team. As you guys saw last night, really talented across the board, especially offensively. So got our work cut out for us. They're very good. It'll be a major, major challenge this week. But we'll be at U.S. Bank. I know it'll be loud, and we're looking forward to it.
Brian, when it comes to Andrew and just his pass rushing ability, setting his career high in sacks, I guess what have you seen from him now and just the way that he's developed his pure pass rushing ability?
Yeah, I think he's just, like you said, he's developed. He's worked at it. He's put the work in the offseason. From a meeting preparation standpoint, the strengths and weaknesses of, the right tackle, the left tackle. Sometimes he rushes inside, so he's really kind of working on everybody. Both guards, the center, right tackle. Sometimes he ends up on a back, so he's watching all these guys. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What opportunities may present themselves for him to rush? Where he'd be rushing from? There were a couple pressures he had last week where he's working with somebody else on a game. So there's a lot that goes into it, just coming from a mental standpoint. And then, just working the drills, working his get off, his pass rush moves, creating more of an arsenal for himself. I think you put all those things together over, a number of years, which is he's done. He's kind of in a place now where I think things have slowed down for him, and when he gets those opportunities, he really, I think he's done a really good job of taking advantage of them.
Dallas Turner, I'm just curious. Obviously, he had the interception, but just big picture with him in coverage. How's he developed in that area?
Yeah, I think it's something that he had done previously a little bit in college. It's something we've worked on really throughout the course of the season. I think Pet and Amarje have done a great job with Dallas as far as meetings, walkthrough practice, extra walkthrough, extra practice. Helping him get a routine. They've done a great job. I know the landmarks and the drops have been something I would say over the past few weeks. There's been extra drills, extra work on that, on that in particular, and lo and behold, it shows up. So it's good for us as a coaching staff to kind of see that, because we talk about it in meetings. It's something specific that we've talked about in meetings. Our drops, our landmarks, and he was right where he was supposed to be, and he was able to make a play. Now, I wish he would have stayed on his feet, and because there was some space there, but he'll just take it one step at a time. But he, it's good to see that kind of the practice reps showing up in game, and kind of gives him a little bit of reinforces a lot of things we said. So, hopefully he continues to kind of grow and learn. And practice it a certain way and then apply it in game.
How rare is it for a guy that size and with the capability he has to be able to do that as effectively?
I think there are a lot of talented guys, in this league, who can do it. As long as they put some time and effort and work into it. obviously Dallas is, immensely talented, and if we wanted him to go out there and, cover somebody, he could probably do it. And there's some other guys who aren't as talented. That's probably not, the having them in space is probably not the best thing for them. But I think, we've got a number of guys who've dropped. Pat Jones, Hottie Ward. We saw HP drop the other day, which, kind of looking back on that one, maybe we do something a little different next time. But with enough practice reps, with enough for most guys, with enough practice reps, I'm going to hear about this one.
You did.
Yeah, I did it. With enough practice reps, most guys will get to a functional level. Dallas, with his amount of ability he has, athleticism, he can get to a high level and get to wherever he wants to get based on, his overall talent.
What is the conversation like when you first propose that to a guy who's been a pass rusher most of his life? Hey, we're going to have you do some of these things. How often do you find guys who haven't done it to be open to the idea, or is there a little bit of convincing that happen?
No, I don't think there hasn't been much convincing. I think everybody wants interceptions and everybody wants sacks. So to put him in that position, to put him in that space, most guys are open to it. Now, how much is often a conversation, oftentimes a conversation. How much dropping versus rushing, that's a conversation. But, I think most of our guys, in particular, most guys that I've been around, they want to do what's best for the team, knowing full well that we're always going to try to put them in the best positions. So if you can rush, you're going to rush, I would say a significant amount of the time. And when we drop you, it'll be just, to throw off the offense, just enough that, is he dropping or is he rushing? And then it may help you rush. So that's normally the conversation. And I think, we try as much as we can to keep track of, the percentages of drops versus rushes to, get it to where we want it to be.
It didn't really Vikings related per se, but a couple weeks ago, Trevor Lawrence was running and he slid and got hit by a defender at Houston, and there was kind of a big conversation that evolved from that in terms of what defenders can and should do, or what quarterbacks can and should do. And I'm just curious from a defensive standpoint, like what are the coaching points for players in that situation, or when quarterbacks are like near the sidelines?
Yeah.
When we all know the realities of how things get called, but you want to be aggressive and all that sort of thing.
That can be hard for defensive players, but, I think we all would understand, the quarterback position and how they're going to protect that position. And they should. It's a vital position for the entire game. We just coach our guys. Look, if it's close, stay off the guy. Otherwise, we run into the risk of if it's too close, it's a penalty. That's obviously costly and would be costly for us. But there's a I like to try to keep money in their pockets too, because those end up being fines also. So there's kind of two reasons to kind of stay off of it. If you feel like you got to get the guy down, or he's going to continue to run, then you tackle him. Obviously, stay away from the head, neck, shoulder area if he's sliding. But sometimes those are bang plays and things happen. But yeah, I think the quarterback position is such a vital position in our league that they're going to be protected, and we've got to shift our kind of thought process in the moment and try to stay off them.
Do you see many instances of when you're watching film or whatever of quarterbacks like sort of trying to take advantage of that? In other words, sliding late, or maybe looking like they're going to go out of bounds or not. We've seen
I think
individual
that happens, and it should happen. I mean, if it's a situation where you can get a couple extra yards because they understand kind of their positioning, and that if it's close, there's a potential that the defensive player could get a call and may back off a little bit and they get a couple extra yards. I think there's a few of them that do that, but not enough that we're going to make a big deal about it. So.
Brian, what is the toughest challenge that this Packers run game presents?
It's the running back. I think Jacobs is one of the best in the league. Great vision. He's a physical runner. Breaks a lot of tackles. Tough to tackle in space. Does a good job in the pass game as well. They got a good offensive line. The tight ends block. The receivers block. As a cohesive unit, Matt's done a great job of getting them all to buy into. We're going to run the football, and everyone's a big part of that. Receivers, tight ends, O-line. The quarterback's a part of that as well, as far as getting them in the right plays. They do a great job. But I would say at the back, he's one of the best in the league.
Brian, what does it say about Theo Jackson that he hasn't gotten many opportunities after that very good camp he had, and then when he gets in the game, he's able to step up the way he did?
It just speaks to kind of the depth in that room, and it speaks to his. A lot of guys would be upset about having a great camp, wanting an opportunity to get in there and play. And I'm sure he was frustrated. He's been frustrated about that, but he's very much an unselfish and team guy. And the guys in that room love him, and the guys throughout the team love him for that. He's respected by everyone because of that. And everybody was just so happy for him to finish the game that way. He makes a lot of plays when he's in there. He makes plays, and I got to get him in there more.
Who did you rely on to sort of make calls and get people lined up, do the things that Harrison usually does?
The second we found out that there was a chance, Harrison, might not play. There was between Metellus and Cam Bynum and Blake Cashman. Harrison Phillips always wants to get involved in those conversations. Sometimes you got to tell him, hey man, just let these guys make those calls. But it was kind of a yeah. As soon as he became a dropper, he's got to be involved in all that. That group kind of came together, and it was because there's a situation where one guy who's really making most of the calls is out, and then then who's making it? And as a collective group, they kind of made them together. And obviously Theo and Bobby were involved in that as well. I thought the guys did a really nice job of kind of stepping up, and we talk about the next man up mentality. It's often a cliche thing, but I think there was a real situation where it showed up, and guys really stepped up in big situations, in a big game, in a tough environment, and really played well.
Brian, I know it's the other side of the field. Is there a moment, maybe back in training camp, OTAs, you realized how good of an arm Sam had? You probably knew it.
Yeah, even in training camp, there were some, incredible throws that he made under duress, in traffic, and you're sitting there going, it's the arm talent's real. It's a real thing. And you'd seen that in previous games as well. It's not, he wasn't a top pick for no reason. The guy's extremely talented. I just love how much growth, we've all seen from his play, how much confidence, really, more than anything, that he's shown. I tell him every time I see him, there's our fearless leader there, because that's what he's become, and I'm happy for him. Sometimes it's everyone's journey in this league is very different. There's ups, there's downs. He's had both, and he's come through, and he's playing fantastic football.
Is there something about the camaraderie of this team that you feel like has been informative for you, just in terms of how you think about successful teams and what makes some of these teams special?
I've been on a lot of successful teams, and in that experience, when I think back on them, it's always been that. There's always been a camaraderie. whether the teams in New England or I felt that when I was in Pittsburgh. I think there's just a camaraderie that's unique relationships that are formed in the locker room, outside the locker room. And I think as a coach, it's important to try to do everything you can to, create those moments for the players, and not just hope that they create them on their own. Yeah, I think every really good team I've been on has had that for sure.
When you look at the productivity of Gink and JG, how does that at like a position where a lot of people pay attention to the stats and their selflessness kind of cascade to the rest of the defense, it might not have as much statistical tie-ins?
Yeah, I think statistically both guys have been, they've done a great job, and I think they're both Pro Bowl caliber players, all pro. When those kind of accolades start to come to fruition here in the next few weeks, I think they should certainly be part of those conversations. But I think they should also be part of those conversations because they do the things that don't really show up on a stat sheet at a high level, a very high level. I don't know if any outside backer drops as much as Gink. It'd be hard to find an edge player who plays the run as well as JG. And those things don't really show up in the stat line, but they've been a real crucial part of our ability to play, good, solid defense. And they're unselfish players. To your point, we've dropped JG quite a bit, and we drop Gink a lot. And they don't blink. They know it's what's best for the team or what's best for a certain situation, and they do it knowing full well that they're going to get their opportunities to rush, and when they do, they take advantage of them. So, really proud of both of those guys. I think they've done a fantastic job, and very, very happy we have them.
How have you felt about tackling lately, and how does Josh Jacobs specifically stress that this week?
I think we've done a good job of tackling. Josh Jacobs makes me feel like we need to talk about tackling. So, to answer your question, again, like I said earlier, he's a very, very good back. One of the best in the league. He breaks a lot of tackle. He does it at a level that's higher than most, or right there at the top. So yeah, we'll be talking about tackling all week, really across the board. And but this is going to be a total team defense game. Everyone's going to have to. We keep talking about the run game. The pass game is, just as good, or just as good as their run game. I think Love's playing phenomenal football. You look at their target sheet, and he spreads the ball around as much as anybody. I think there's 5-6 guys with 50 targets. All the receivers, the backs get it, the tight ends get it, and Love is doing a great job scanning the field, finding an open receiver. And Matt's doing a great job putting them in positions to make plays. So, big challenge.
Coach, I know you mentioned Theo, and I know they're not the exact same situation, but with Bobby, Coach O'Connell was talking about how he helps a lot, on scout team, and he's very smart and experienced. Obviously, do you have to I don't know? Is it hard to motivate someone like that when they're on practice squad and kind of filling that role? It obviously doesn't seem to bother him, and he was super well prepared. So I'm just curious, what it's like to work with him in that role.
Yeah, I have a lot of history with Bobby. It's not so he's very self-motivated, and he was going to be ready when his opportunity presented itself. That's just the type of player he is. That's why he's here. That's why he's had such a successful career. And he is a very smart player. I think one day Bobby will be a coach, a very, very good one. That's down the road, but yeah, I think he'll be a very good one if he wants to do that. But the game is important to him. I don't think anyone was as more excited about getting an opportunity to play than he was, and we were excited for him and happy for him, and happy he's on his team.
You guys haven't had Ivan, oh, I'm sorry, can I get one quick one?
Yeah.
You guys haven't had Ivan and Blake together a ton this season, getting them back together potentially this week. How does that free up just the other guys that have kind of had to help fill in those spots?
Yeah, we're gonna take that day to day. I mean, we'll see how he looks over the next couple of days. The thought of having him back is exciting, very exciting. Obviously, he brings a toughness, a blitz ability, a playmaking ability, and like you said, he kind of opens things up for a lot of other guys. I imagine when an offensive lineman knows that he's in the game and he's could potentially rip downhill and fill a gap, that they've got decisions to make, and so excited at the thought of getting him back. So we'll see how that all shakes out, and nobody will be happier than me. Tell you that. So, all right, guys, happy holidays.